The following is a 1232 Studios production. It's your What's Up Raiders podcast.
Hello, Raider Nation. This is your host, Gail Dwayne, with your What's Up Raider podcast. And this is a special episode. We're going to talk about mismanagement, just like the title says. And, as a longtime Raider fan, I was reluctant to call out something that could be perceived as mismanagement, or even myself being a little bit overly critical. But, we're going to proceed and we're going to let the chips fall as they may, and we're going to see how things are going to end up before we I think it's okay to pose the question, but let's just see how we're going to be doing after week 4. So this special episode is called Mismanagement, and we've got several things we'll talk about. Excuse me. And let me ask, is this about poor luck or plain management? Today, we're going to be digging into the offensive line, Ashton Jeanty and Brock Bowers, and how winning on Sunday could change everything for Raider Nation. Right now, we're all kind of adrift in the abyss and feeling terrible. And, we talk to our other Raider friends and we see people online, and it's like we all got kicked right in the teeth. But winning does change winning changes everything, and we know that. And a simple win on Sunday, a convincing win on Sunday, even something close would, at 2-2, we can feel pretty good about that roughly one fourth into the season. So going in 1-3 with the Chargers running away with the division could be, with us at the bottom, would be painful. And we don't want to go in the position where we're drafting in the top, 4, 5, or 6 positions again. So let's move forward on this. But before we dive in, let's make sure you follow and subscribe. People, Raider fans, we're a new podcast. Give us a chance. Get to know us. Let us grow on you. Subscribe and follow. Subscribe on YouTube. Give us a like and a follow. And when it comes to picking us up on your favorite place for podcasts, whether it's Spotify, Apple Music, or some of the others, just make us a regular listen. We hope to be your second listen of the day. So give us a chance and grow with us. So we are iron out the kinks, and we like the way where the podcast is headed. So with that being said, let's move on. We're also going to throw out a few call to actions for you guys this episode. We're going to ask you guys for some questions because, like you, we're Raider fans, and we like to BS with other Raider fans. And you guys know what it's like to be somewhere. I was just at the casino the other day at Pachanga, and I saw a guy in a hat, and I just said, "What's up, Raider fan?" We began talking a little bit. So, until this week is over, maybe we can get better topics next week, but Raider fans like talking to Raider fans. But I'm going to give you that number. It's going to be 971-319-2976, and give us your take on what you think, your opinion about anything that has to do with the Raiders. Those with the best picks will have your item. I'm sorry, the best takes will have your items read on air. And if you're really good, we hope to have you as a weekly guest on the show in a round robin type discussion. So feel free to jump in and give us a call, voicemail, or text. So this is a special edition called Mismanagement, and let's get right into it. Segment 1. And we're going to talk about the offensive line. The offensive line has taken a lot of heat lately. And, and I often reflect like, man, how would I feel if everybody's saying, the position I place, whether I was offensive line. I was a quarterback in college, and, I remember my very first start, I sucked, I had a chance at some redemption, and depending on who you're talking to, I think it worked out pretty good for me. So, again, I want to get a shout out to the Wayne State Wildcats there in Wayne, Nebraska. I'm one of your old guys, so I was a starter in 1989 and 1990. So, I know what it's like not to feel good for a week, but luckily I was able to redeem myself and became the offensive a league's offensive player of the week, my second start, or actually my first start. So it was my second appearance on the field. So let's get moving. The offensive line, you know, we heard about John Spytek and, you know, the wonder kid that came over from Tampa Bay. He was going to pair up with Pete Carroll, and together they made a decision not to bring in better bodies and simply re-signing the guys we already have. So the three guys that we want to talk about, I'm going to call them or refer to them as the guard center guard group. That's going to be Parham. That's going to be our center and our guard JPJ. Meredith, Parham, and JPJ. Those are our center guard guys. And you know, nobody watches more film than the Raiders, and our coach and our front office decided to keep these guys. Now they've moved them around, but they thought they were good enough to keep. And in hindsight, that looks bad right now. No one is saying that we have a great offensive line, and if anything, they're saying, you know, positively, they're saying, hey, just give these guys more time. And there's other people saying, you know, these guys are trash. And I don't think they're trash, but I'm just telling you what people think and what we're hearing. So remember this: Spytek and Carroll don't have loyalty to Meredith, Parham, or JPJ. They didn't draft these guys, but they felt confident enough to bring them back. Some may question moving them around. You know, stability. Last year they didn't play this bad. And now we look like we're scrambling around with three guys, and we hope JPJ is the answer after having, you know, being out 2 weeks with a concussion. But our brain trust decided to bring these guys back. So I'm willing to give them a chance. I'm willing to say, hey, maybe they need some more time. I'm not going to question things like, you know, power scheme versus, you know, zone running. They get paid the big bucks to make those decisions. So we just need to know that, or what we need to see the effort on the field. We need to see a better product. And Raider fans, you know, when it really comes down to the W. So, you know, and then we hear things about, you know, are they considering moving JPJ back to center now? And depending on how you look at that, you could think that's either a good thing or a bad thing. Number one, Pete Carroll says there's no way it's happening. But the fact about moving someone around in week 4 because it worked last year or it worked before, it just makes the decision to move him in the first place to guard a bad decision. And it looks like Pete Carroll's got his feet, you know, his heels dug in and willing to die on that hill. So let's hope it's a good decision all the way around, that having those guys in the positions they are is best. Lastly, does the guard center guard shuffle that we have now, do we see how this kind of plays out next year, next spring during the draft? Do we really want to be a team that's picking in the first 4 to 6 picks again, and now we're going to be focused on offensive and defensive linemen? I think we can all agree that those are very needed positions, but do we really want to be in the 4-win range again when we had such high expectations? So, you know, those implications that next year we need to have some more higher draft picks in on the offensive line. When you think about it, the Raiders have one true first-round draft pick playing on the offensive line, and that's Colton Miller, who you know, they even held out paying him. So, you know, I don't mean that as a dig, but you know, they were going to pay their best guy. When in hindsight we look at the 3 guys we got now that we're having problems with, you know, could we have went out and got an extra body? Could we have got a free agent? Could we have made an upgrade at guard center guard at our current guard center guard position? Could we have picked up a guy in the free agency that was an upgrade? You know, I find it hard to believe that we couldn't picked up 1 or 2 guys that really had a better anchor than maybe Meredith. And, you know, Dylan Parham seems to be wearing roller skates the last couple of weeks. I like them both, but I'm just going to tell it how it is. So that's it for segment 1, offensive line. While we're at it, tell me what you think. Should we be looking at the guard center guard in the 2026 draft? Should we be looking to upgrade to a first round or second round guy to really come in and start right away and make a difference? Um, I think we need to start looking that way. Most teams that are doing well, they have great lines on both sides. And you look at somebody like the Eagles, their defensive line is full of animals and their offensive line is solid. So, we've got the tools. Next year, I think it's a priority, but we got to get the guys now playing. So give me your thoughts, your opinions. What would you like to see offensive lineman in next year in the draft next year? Let's hit the voicemail and the phone line at 971-319-2976. And that's it for segment one. When we return to this mismanaged episode, we'll look into the Ascengenti situation. Hey, Raider Nation, it's Gail Dwayne, and we're back. We're going to jump into segment two on this mismanagement special episode, and we're going to jump right into Ascengenti. When we talk about Ascengenti, it's been a regular topic of conversation since the season started. We draft a running back high in the first round. We expect big things, and then doesn't happen. The first 2 weeks, it's all about he's not getting enough touches. And then we realize when the stats come out that not only he's not getting enough touches, but he's getting hit 2 and 3 yards in the backfield. So has he been mismanaged? Is he getting enough touches? What do you guys think? Is he getting enough touches now, or is it just simply that he's got too many hits before he gets to the line of scrimmage? So the real question is, was it wise to start his rookie year behind an offensive line that had 0 upgrades? So this kind of blends in what we started talking about when we saw offensive line. You draft a running back, but you don't give him any upgrades to run behind. Some might say that's a mismanagement, or that's a poor decision at that. So is that smart roster building, or is that a setup for failure? Let me know what you think. Call us on that text line. I'm sure you all have opinions on that. We all have we've seen him kill it in college, and we actually see glimpses of it. We see glimpses where he's one arm tackle away from breaking a big one. He'll go 4 to 6 yards, 8 yards, 12 yards, and then he's tackled 3 yards in the backfield, 2 yards in the backfield. He's getting picked up off the ground at 2 yards in the backfield, and it's just mind-numbing to watch sometimes. So we all know he's just one tackle away. So what do you think? Do you think it's mismanagement? Do you think why draft a guy if you're not going to upgrade the offensive line? Or do we think that they thought this line was good enough? So right now, I think the argument can be made is he's not getting the touches because they simply don't want to kill him. It's sad to say, but I don't think they want him out there getting smacked up and beat up so early in his career. A stat came out this morning that Ascengenti has roughly 145 yards, and I believe 144 of those are yards after contact. So he's like 101% total yards versus yards after contact, and everyone else in the league is down there at 33% or less. So it's quite the eye-opening stat. Let's keep going with Ascengenti. No trades, no upgrades, and we bring this young man in. And the other thing too is, I thought we'd see a little bit more creative play calling in Ascengenti's favor. We don't see any. I was hoping to see some Marshall Faulk type play callings. Where we'd see him one-on-one with linebackers, either out in the flats, in the hook to curl zone, or even in the middle of the field. With his soft hands and his route running, I just think it would be putting him out into the route would benefit. Now we don't have that luxury because we have some of the problems at offensive line, but we could keep an extra tight end in to block, or we can even bring somebody in to chip. But I think that having him out in the pattern, crossing over linebackers for a quick catch, and hope he gets some good yak after that. I was hoping to see more of that. So In addition to some of the line problems, I think the other problem is just, not enough creative play calling. And I will give them the benefit of the doubt that you really are restricted on what you can call if you're just not getting the blocking. So is Ashton Genty getting mismanaged in your opinion? Is he not getting the touches? Why is he not getting the touches? Should the Raiders start this young man behind an inept line? Should they give him a lot of plays? Are they setting him up for failure? So again, call us on that. Call on the text line. That's at 971-319-2976. When we return with segment 3, we'll talk about Brock Bowers. Okay, Raider Nation, we're back for segment 3. We're going to jump into Brock Bowers. In this transition, I'm going to give you the call line again. That's 971-319-276. And I'm going to keep using the term you all see it, because I think we all see with what's going on with Brock Bowers. He's our best offensive weapon, and he gets hurt on opening day. Should we have sat him for 2 to 3 weeks? Should those 2 losses we have, were they worth bringing Brock Bowers back? The loss to the Chargers and the debacle last week with the Washington Commanders. Should we have just sat him? Was he worth bringing back for those 2 terrible losses? So, and I think that's an important question. Please call and give your opinions. The best takes will get on air, and those that give the best takes, we're looking for 1 or 2 people to be in a weekly round robin. So, we see it. The first game back against San Diego, he's wearing the brace. He's not getting any real movement after he's catching the ball. He actually keeps looking down at his leg like it's failing him, and he's not getting any sort of that what we're used to, that Brock Bowers yak, that yards after the catch. We're not seeing any of that. And we're seeing a guy that looks bothered. We see a guy that looks like he's not himself, and we just don't see the big plays from him. So again, we lost these last 2 games. Would it have been better in hindsight just to have sat Brock? Personally, I believe we should have sat him. But I want to hear what Raider Nation has to say out there. The second part, I want to talk about Brock Bowers and his current situation, as far as it pertains to mismanagement. I want you to think about Michael Mayer. All off season, we were hearing about Michael Mayer and how good he was doing, and how they wanted to bring him in and make him an important part to the offense, and especially after the time that he was away from the team. And we heard that he was going to be that guy. And if Mayer was ready, why force Bowers back, right? We got 2 other tight ends besides Bowers. And here we are putting Brock Bowers out there with this crazy giant leg brace, and he just looks uncomfortable, and he just doesn't look himself. And honestly, running him as a decoy, and even having him on the field is just asking for trouble. Get the guy healthy, get him right, and then get him back on the field. But having him be a decoy, or having him catch 40-yard passes and just turning around and no yards after catch. If Mayer is ready, then let's let Mayer do those kinds of things. There's a reason why we have 2 high draft picks at tight end. Let's not, if we got one guy hurt, to me it's senseless to put him back out there. Let him get better. Let him heal up. And like I say, coach, you got to coach those other guys up. If you don't think they're ready, coach them up. And let's look at the effects of rushing Brock Bowers back. Slow breaks, 0 yak, and hesitant play. Could his long-term confidence and psyche be at risk? Perhaps. I think he's a stud of a player. I think he's a lion out there with that lion mentality, just like Max Crosby. But if the body isn't ready to go, then the rest doesn't follow. And again, sit him down. Playing hurt hasn't benefited Bowers or the Raiders. We're 1-2 since his injury. We're 2 losses after his injury, and it just doesn't make any sense. So, Raider Nation, let me hear what you have to say. Do you think Brock Bowers should have sat down, for the last 2 weeks, or should we have had him playing? I think I know the answer. You guys got the call line. That's at 971-319-2976. I want to hear what Raider Nation has to say. So come on, Raider Nation, what's your take? Raiders should have sat Brock Bowers. Call or text and leave a voicemail now. And that wraps up the short segment, the quick hit segment on Brock Bowers. We have a special segment 4 coming up. Be sure to stay tuned, and we'll see you in just a moment. Hello, Raider Nation. We're back for the 4th and final segment of this quick hit mismanagement episode of the What's Up Raider podcast. And I usually don't do a segment 4, but this is special for this special report on what we say mismanagement. So let's get down to the nitty gritty, the bottom line, and let's see what segment 4 is all about. And I say this as a 50-year Raider fan. Some of the other podcasts, they won't say their history about being a fan or not. Some do say they're not a fan, but you guys can rest assured that I am truly a fan. I've even got my Raider fan club, my membership to Raider Nation card around here somewhere, but I am a 50-year fan. And I want to tell you, I partied with my parents that night of the victory in Super Bowl 11. We were all in Jack London Square. We were sporting our afros. We had matching jumpsuits, and that's just the way it was in those days. So, I bleed silver and black. And I say that I'm talking this segment 4, from the perspective of a Raider fan. So we talked about Ashton Genty. We talked about Brock Bowers. We talked about how our line has looked inept the last couple of weeks. But you know what, Raider fans? We are still optimistic. We love our team. And guess what? A win on Sunday, taking the Raiders to 2-2, changes the entire narrative. So this episode's been 3 segments of somewhat negative talk and maybe second guessing the brain trust in the Raiders when I talk about Spy Tech, Pete Carroll, and the offensive and defensive coordinators. But a win on Sunday changes everything. And it makes that stench from the Commanders' loss go away. It'll disappear, and we're back optimistic again, especially if we see good play. So I'm going to end this saying this, Raider fans. I believe in Pete Carroll. And I think the Raiders made a great decision hiring him. And I honestly think Pete Carroll and Spy Tech will prove to be one of the best choices the Raiders have made in the last 20 years. So I'm going to put my neck out there after 3 segments of what if. I'm going to put my neck out there, and I'm going to give you a prediction for Sunday. I'm going to say Raiders 24, Bears 20. Carroll and the staff find a way. And I think these Raiders are positive, and I think, we got a great group of professionals. Leading the list is Max Crosby. So I think we're gonna win this game, and I think we're not going to be perfect, and I think the line's going to need more help, but I do think we're on our way. So Raiders win 24-20, and this Commanders stench that we're all trying to wash off and just leave behind, it goes away. So that's going to end this quick hit segment 4 and in this episode. But I'm going to give you one more final call to action. Raider Nation, what's your prediction? Call, text, or leave me a voicemail with the score. And don't forget to follow, subscribe, and drop your feedback on the call line. That's at 971-319-2976. Give us a shout out to your friends. Subscribe and leave a like on YouTube, and you can find us where you find your regular podcast. We hope to soon be your second choice of the day. And I want to say thank you, Raider Nations. We're going to get past the offensive line struggles. We're going to get past talking about Genty's touches and Brock Bowers' health. So what I want you to do now is I want you to stay tuned for more episodes and be like the Raiders. Walk with your own pride and poise, and don't let negative people get you down. And have a great day, Raider Nation.
Raider Nation, be sure to give us a like and subscribe, as this helps us to create more Las Vegas Raiders content. Follow us on all of our socials, including Instagram, X, TikTok, Reddit, Facebook, and YouTube. You can even call and leave a message or text us at 971-319-2976.